皆さんこんにちは、ギャラクシーです。今回は少々新たな試みということで、プログラミングを始める前に知っておいた方がいいことをいくつか紹介します。難しい言葉がいきなり出てくるかもしれないですけども、これらを知っておくことで自分が何をどうやって作ろうとしているのかがある程度明確になるはずなので、漠然と勉強するよりは確実に身につくと思います。僕は高校時代に友人から Python を教わる形で始めて以来、いろんな分野の開発をしてきました。今は Web 開発がメインです。いつもは旅やイベント関係の動画を作ってるんですが、IT 関係の動画を作ることで自分が今開発中の政治向けプラットフォームである XXXSPACE の開発や運営を手伝ってくれる方が見つかればなと思っています。文字ばかりの動画になると思うので、プレゼン感覚で聞いていただけたらと思います。
If you are going to start learning programming, what should you start from? Nowadays, there are more than 100 programming languages. The suitable language will depend on what and how do you want to build it. Basically, each platform has its own development system. So I recommend you to study with the attitude of building the app for the particular platform. Today, I'll talk about these platforms: web, mobile, PC, and server. Before I start talking about the platforms, I'll use the words framework and library. Framework provides the base structure for the app to run on the designated system. Library is a tool that makes it easier to implement a particular process. First is about the web development. Usually a website works by creating a page using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and host them on the server. The scale of each website depends on the purpose. A simple website that shows the file, like written by the HTML. A web app that retrieves the data by communicating with the server. It's recommended to use a framework or library if you are creating a web app. These are the modern ones. They are component-based and the developer structure page using the UI components. React, Vue, Angular, Svelte. Please Google to see the detailed comparison. Also, there are frameworks like .NET, Flutter, which doesn't rely to the HTML and JavaScript. My recommendation is either React or Svelte. If you are going to build a large-scale project, go React. By using SSR-supported frameworks like Next.js or Remix, it's going to be more powerful. If it's not a large-scale project, choosing Svelte will give you the faster performance and ease of development. Svelte Kit will provide the equivalent features to the Next.js. Xspace is a large-scale project that having the passion to build the adult version of Twitter and developed using the Next.js. If you are interested in React, go to official React website. They have plenty of tutorials and documents to learn. At the same time, you will need to install Node.js to build an environment for the development. It's recommended to use code editor to edit files like HTML. Visual Studio Code, developed by the Microsoft, is the world's most popular code editor, free and open source. Learn TypeScript, popular on real-world development. Next session is the mobile app. It almost means iOS and Android app development. iOS is mostly Swift and Xcode. Android is Kotlin and Android Studio. They are a bit easier to learn as the way of the development is quite limited. Nowadays, there are cross-platform frameworks like React Native, Flutter, Xamarin. They can build apps for the iOS, Android, web, and others using the same code and without Swift and Kotlin. However, you need to note that you will need a knowledge of data binding, like RX, to work on enterprise development. iOS development is impossible without a Mac. If your app contains the content or features that violate the terms of App Store, you can't release the app to the store. For Android, you can ask users to install your app directly from your own website or elsewhere. But iOS is impossible. If you want to be a mobile app developer for Android, install Android Studio from the official website and SDKs required for the development. For iOS, install the Xcode from the Mac App Store. And then search the basics of the app development. Create project, screens, transitions, buttons, input and controls, and others. I don't cover them in this video. Next session is PC development. For PC, I want to call it as a software rather than an app. The types of softwares are like window-based GUI software like browser, the terminal-based GUI software, a service runs in the background. The suitable programming language depends on the things you want to build. For Windows, C++ and .NET. For the Mac, Swift and C++ are popular. If you want to be able to contribute to the software in the market or the development tools, I recommend you to learn the C++, as many of those softwares are using C++ and other languages. If it's too difficult for you, I suggest you to start from the C or C# with .NET and get used to the rules of the C. Last is the server. Server is going to be hard when building a web service. You don't need to know about the details at this stage. Learn the roles for now and start building after you got used to the development. Servers has many types: web, REST API, database, storage, media, and others, and many of them are running on the Linux. I'll simply describe about REST API. When a client wants to do something like getting a data, modifying data, and if you allow direct access to the server, this will cause a security risk. To prevent this, API handles the job on behalf. API receives a request from the client, communicate with the required servers, do extra work and returning the data as a response. API can be developed in many languages and frameworks. Some web frameworks like Next.js support web and API full stack development. Hence, the suitable choice will depend on the purpose, favorite, and preferred speed, language, and others. In XSpace, we use Next.js and TypeScript. If we consider the dedicated API, our suggestions will be Express with TypeScript, Actix Web with Rust, Fast API with Python. For servers, Amazon's AWS, Google's GCPs are popular. There are other services like Firebase. Supabase is providing the useful and secure servers. By choosing them, we sacrifice the freedoms of design, but benefit us by reducing the various cost. XSpace is currently using the Supabase and will keep using it after we become enterprise. Extras. Do you need a course to learn programming? If you can't understand anything by yourself and can't go further, yes. Let's say if you're going to learn React and able to understand it with the official's info and other sources, then you don't need it. If you are able to contribute to the development of the real-world app, that should give you the valuable experience with a massive amount of studies. Important things to note. The evolution of the IT techs are insanely fast. This means if you don't keep learning, the skills you learned will be rusty as the time passes. Especially the platforms I talked in this video has a yearly major updates at least. Make sure to update your skills so you won't be left behind. I don't know whether this video grows or receive complaints. If you want to see more videos like this one and IT, please support by subscribing, like, and comment. If you are keen to support the XSpace in the way of the operations, development, and others, even if it's a side job basis contribution, please let me know. My current plan is to start it as a business in Japan within this year. I'm developing it in English and welcoming the foreigners. It won't be a business vibes, but hobby vibes.